Welcome to this reflection for Friday the 1st of May. And if you've been following along the previous reflections, you'll know that I'm doing a series on the I am statements of Jesus in the Gospel of John. And today it is I am the light of the world, which is in John chapter 9. So today we reflect on this second I am statement. This happens in the context of a discussion that Jesus is having with his disciples about a beggar, a man who happens to have been blind since birth. It's a fascinating story because the man born blind, who is never named, goes from being an object, and the predication is the disciples asking Jesus who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind, to being a subject, not only able to answer for himself, but whose own understanding of Jesus unfolds and brightens as the story progresses. In an act of new creation, Jesus spits to make mud, which he puts on the man's eyes, tells him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent, and he is healed. And immediately everyone around the man argues over what's just happened. He tells them the story about Jesus. They take him to the Pharisees, who interrogate him and his parents. The man who had been born blind goes from not knowing where or who Jesus is to declaring him to be a prophet, to then suggesting that someone who is able to heal people born blind from birth must be of God, to then, when Jesus finds him, declaring his belief in the Son of Man and then worshipping Jesus as Lord. The whole story is a demonstration of the way that Jesus is the light of the world. Like the sun rising, so the formerly blind man's understanding and ability to perceive who Jesus is grows gradually until the full light enlightens him, and he sees Jesus for who he is. There's also a play on blindness and sight throughout all of this story. Who's blind now? Not the man whom Jesus healed, but those around him who are disbelieving and quarrelsome. His parents, who out of fear distance themselves from him in the fray. The Pharisees, who want to persist in the assertion that the man's blindness is related to sin. And the story closes with a few Pharisees who followed the man asking Jesus, "Surely we're not blind?" And him replying, "If you were blind, you would not have sin. But now that you say we see, your sin remains." The implication is that Jesus, as light of the world, shows up the darkness of sin for what it is. The kind of sin which is a willful blindness and unwillingness to be swayed from our own position at all costs. Self-righteousness. Sin which is about being bound by rules rather than by living with rules out of love for God and for our neighbour. Sin which excludes and oppresses people because of physical disability or other characteristic, which is not just individual but communal in its impact and effect. Jesus, the light of the world, shows up sin for what it is and brings healing and the vision of what is right. As with the bread of life statement, there's an invitation here for us to engage in the way the man born blind is engaged, to go on the journey from a blindness of heart to seeing Jesus for who he is and worshipping at his feet. May his risen light shine on us and on all of you, and in us too, that we too may become the light of the world. Peace be with you this day.